So, with coaching, one of the foundational principles for coaching is that, first of all, if anybody is going to listen to you, if anybody's going to agree to be challenged by you and agree to open up their heart sometimes or their mind sometimes to listen to the questions you might have and give you the opportunity to lead somebody, they need to know that you, as the coach, you have character. They need to know that it is one of the most important things for sure. One of the most important and underestimated aspects in becoming a powerful coach is about character, no doubt, and it is the foundation of all of coaching. So think of the word behave. You have to be the coach in order to have the ability to coach others to succeed. So you need to be the coach in order to have the ability to coach others to succeed. So in other words, it's not just because you have a title of coach, maybe you've got a name tag and it says coach. That doesn't make you a coach. If you're not actually a person that has the character that and the foundational character to help others understand how to grow, you can't actually coach. You can go through the motions, you can pretend, but you'll be a faker. So character is the biggest thing. So for instance, some of the needs that a person being coached might have is one of the needs is they need that coach to be honest with them. They don't need that coach to be somebody that is a people pleaser and just tells them everything that they want to hear. That's not what they need. That's not integrity. Sometimes people get screwed up because they're listening to people that tell them everything that they want to hear. What they really need is a person of character that's going to say, you know what, let me share the truth with you. And they'll do it in the most delicate way they can, the most caring way they can. But it's important that they tell them the truth. Or another element of character would be integrity. If they say they're going to be there at a certain time, they're going to be there at a certain time. If they say they're going to have their back or they're going to do some things in between sessions, that they're going to take care of those things. Those are really important. Your ability to powerfully influence another human being will be determined by who you are far more than by what you know. So being a great coach doesn't require you to be a genius. It doesn't require you to know a whole lot about that person's industry, for instance. I coached a chiropractor for several months. And I don't know anything about being a chiropractor, but the nice thing about it is I didn't need to. I just needed to know the right questions to ask her so that she could begin to remove the obstacles out of her way that was keeping her from getting to where she needs to be. And so it really truly is about who you are far more than what you know. And who you are goes back to character. Effective coaching is more about who you are and less about technique. So it's less about technique too. Now we all have different levels of techniques that we have when it comes to communicating. Some people use big words and they use them very strategically and they seem really smart and they're very descriptive words that maybe are very beneficial with helping people understand steps and processes, and that's great. Or maybe people have specific techniques that they've learned on maybe how to tell a story or how to get a message across using different kind of parables or whatever it is. And those are good, and it's good to have technique, but coaching is still more about who you are, because who you are is what gets you heard. If people can't look at you and say, this is a person that I want to listen to, that I want to learn from, that I want to grow from, they're not going to. They're not going to listen to you. They're going to hear what you say, and it's going to bounce off, and they're going to go somewhere else and maybe find someone else that might coach them. Before you can do something, you first must be something. Johann Wolfgang van Gogh said that, whoever that is. Before you can do something, you must first be something. So again, it comes down to who you are. It comes down to your foundation. So there are just a number of people out there that have no business coaching someone else because that's not what they are yet. They haven't created themselves as a foundation, as a solid foundation to be able to influence other people. And those people, the best that they could do is they could go in and do something. That's all. If they can't be that person that they need, all they can do is try to do things for somebody. And so for us, we really need to be that. Ever had that experience where there's somebody you can always go to and explain something to, or ask for advice, or just get a little bit of comfort, and you just know that they're going to have a good idea on that because of who they are? It may not even be that they have any expertise in what you're going to ask them about, but they have a way of helping you see things a little bit better because of who they are, because they're an optimistic person, or they're a person that sees the truth and they rely on the truth and they have integrity. And so that transfers from them to you, and it makes you feel a way that you're confident in them. And that's important. The most important work a coach can undertake is to continually seek to increase their consciousness to improve their self-awareness. So consciousness is what we're aware of. Consciousness is something that it's like peripheral vision. It's knowing about something that's going on that might not be right in front of your face. Consciousness is what you are aware of in the moment. Your subconscious is something different. That's ingrained into you. Like when you're driving a car and you don't even have to think about what you're doing because your subconscious is actually doing the driving. Ever driven someplace and gotten someplace and you forgot how you got there? You don't even remember because your brain was off thinking about something else, and your consciousness, while your subconscious took over and drove you to wherever you were going. And so that's important. But we can't just let our subconscious drive all the time. Sometimes our subconscious is used to something, or we're bent in a certain way, and the only way to override our subconscious is to have our consciousness intentionally take over and think better. Sometimes we have wrong ideas in our head, and we have to consciously think otherwise in order to improve. And so self-awareness is really important with that. So when we can help the people that we're coaching understand more about themselves, so they can become more self-aware and conscious of what they're doing. So many people that we work with have no idea what other people see when they look at them. And I'm sure you can all relate to that. Sometimes you get somebody that their opinion of themselves is just kind of out there. They don't really have a good self-awareness, and they don't know how to proceed because they just have an inflated perspective of themselves, or maybe a deflated perspective of themselves. And so a coach can help other people become aware of who they are and what they need to be. Sometimes people will underestimate themselves. They'll think, oh, I can't do anything. And a coach will say, wait a minute, you can do lots of things. I've seen you do this. I know you can do this. Or sometimes you'll have somebody that'll have an inflated perspective, like, oh, I can do this. I can be a general manager. I can be an area supervisor. I think I'm next. I should be this person. But yet everybody around really doesn't see that. The problems that you may have is seen by everybody else, but maybe not you. And so a coach can help bring that awareness. It's a humbling experience when that happens, but very necessary. You can't give what you do not have. So that's an important principle too. So if you don't have that self-consciousness, or that consciousness and that self-awareness yourself, it's hard for you to help other people gain that consciousness or self-awareness. So kind of goes both ways there. Okay. So this is where the law of the lid applies to coaching. So, John Maxwell in the book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, in the first law is the law of the lid. And he says, basically, your leadership level, wherever you're at, that will dictate who you have working for you. For instance, if you're a 6 on the leadership scale from 1 to 10, maybe you're a 6, then you probably aren't going to have anything more than a 6 or a 5 or 4 working under you. You won't have a 7 or 8 because they won't want to work under you. It won't be long and they'll move on. And so if you want to have 7s working under you, the only thing you can do is move yourself up to an 8. You have to make yourself grow, move yourself to an 8. And it's the same thing with a coach. It's, if you're a 4 on the leadership scale, it's going to be tough for you to coach a 5 or a 6 because they might be more qualified to coach you, And so it's important that we work on ourselves and that we become the best we can be so that we can work on other people. And so if we can continually grow and coach, then we can continue to raise other people up. Your ability to raise the consciousness of others, and so consequently your ability and effectiveness in coaching others to improve consciousness, will be determined by your own level of consciousness. Again, so we need to be conscious ourselves in order for other people to learn to be conscious through us. Otherwise, if they see you being that way, they're going to learn from you one way or the other, good or bad. So the best coaches have a coach. And this goes back to the law of the lid. We all need to have a coach to pull us up so that we can raise our level of leadership, our level of coaching, so that we can become better. And that's the whole idea of coaching. Think of coaching as one person standing on one step, reaching down to the step below them and grabbing a hold of somebody's hand and pulling them up to where they're at. And then they step another step forward, and then they reach down and they pull that next person back up. But at the same time, we're reaching up and somebody else is helping to pull us up. And that's how we move up the steps, by having a coach. We all need to have a coach, and we all need to coach others if we can. Not everybody's really cut out to coach others, but we need to be moving that way the best we can. And everybody on this call has been somewhat hand-selected because of your ability to learn coaching and to become a great coach. So that's important. Just remember that coaching is not just selected for certain careers or certain sports or certain anything. Coaches is for everybody, and it can come in a lot of different forms.